Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Libby. Today I'm going to go back in time for me anyway, when I was when I first graduated from physiotherapy school and did my Pilates training. I did a class where I fused a little bit of Pilates principles and yoga stretches and the lovely physio or large stability ball. And today is just going to be a short video. I know not all of you have a stability ball at home, but I just wanted to bring that into the options. Lots of people do have one to sit on and or work on and work out on. And I still, even though they're not quite as in fad as when I first graduated, not saying how long ago, it's quite a good workout. It really sometimes brings to light some things that you're able to compensate for if you're on the mat. And it gives us just some new options for releasing, moving the spine, strengthening the back body, and actually getting out of positions that if you do a lot of administrative or sitting work or driving, commuting, it gets us out of that position for a lot of these exercises. So I'm going to start just with sitting on the ball and finding a nice centered spot on it. I might turn side too, so you can see, but the more narrow your feet are, the harder it is to balance. If you have a big wide base of support, of course you could maybe stay there all day, but I want you to bring your feet, if you can't bring them to touch, I want you to bring them as close as you can to challenge your base of support. More narrow base of support, harder to stay centered on the ball. See if you can feel even weight on each sit bone. And take a hand on your low belly, and I just want, when you breathe in, I want you to try to feel that expansion. And as you breathe out, I want you to try to feel that the belly draws, the skin of your tummy just draws in a little tiny bit from your clothing, from your leggings or whatever you're wearing. At the same time, the pelvic floor is engaging. So you have, I like the ball because you can really feel the pelvic floor. When you breathe in, you should feel the tissues that are between your sits bones, between your pubic bone and tailbone. You want to feel that just soften and sort of melt and mold to the ball, descend a little bit, relax. Different cues work for different brains. So that when you breathe out, you can feel that pelvic floor, that whole muscular diaphragm lift. Might not lift right off the ball, but that's the action, is it's lifting away and then releasing down and then lifting away and releasing down. And this is a nice way, like, not within this video, but on its own, if you are newly after pelvic surgery, abdominal surgery, post-baby, even just post-back injury, it's a nice way to reconnect to the core. So keep that breath going as we move here. And I'd like you to, with the hands at the sides, think about opening across the collarbones. You're tall in the spine. My arms are going to go out of the picture, but I want you to, as you breathe in, I want you to raise the arms overhead and then press them down by your sides. And the arms overhead and down by your sides. So you get a little rotation in the shoulders because you're leading with the thumbs and you're rotating and you're pressing the palms down at the sides. And if you can add to this, I want you, as you raise, to also raise the left knee and press it down. And then raise and press it down. And this really challenges us in our central stability, in the muscles that we don't think about as we're walking or shopping or going about our day. This needs to be automatic. And the ball is really a nice way to bring some of those little micro movements and wobbles into our awareness so that we can unconsciously, automatically correct. Let's do one more here, each side. And down. And then we're going to do a little rotation. So I'm going to turn side two. You can stay where you are. And I want you to keep the knees together. I want you to keep still on the ball. The arms are out in front, palms together. Good. And you're going to bend the elbow. You're going to draw back. You're going to rotate. And you're going to open up to look at the hand. And then coming back to the front. And then you're going to bow and arrow it back. And then reach around wide to come back to the front. So it's this movement of rotating. The pelvis should stay still. The knees should stay together. And you might find, like most of us, you have one side. It is a little harder than the other. And we'll just do one more to this side. So you are even. Okay. Take the hands behind the head. Keep the low back nice and still. And just lift the chest. Lift the eyes a little bit, widen through the elbows. And release back to neutral. And do that again, because this is going to be the movement over the ball in a second. Is that nice release back. And coming back there. So I'm going to roll down and move my ball back so that as I roll out, good, I come to have my pelvis, my low back on the ball, nice and soft into the ball with the hands behind the head. You want the hips, the pelvis to stay nice and still. And as we breathe in, you're going to mold back over the ball. And on your out breath, you're going to use those abdominals. You're going to engage the pelvic floor before you lift, and you're going to curl up. And we're going to do 8 of these. We're going to try to keep this video short. I'm just going to go into it. But you want, even as you reach back over the ball, you want that low back and pelvis to stay connected to it. You want to stay still in the hips. Then you want to feel a nice opening across the chest, and then a nice use of the abdominals as you come up. Good. And then we're going to go into a little bit of rotation. So as you come up, you're going to rotate and look towards me. Release it down. We're going to do the same side. And the pelvis stays square on the ball. The low belly stays drawn in. When you come up, you're trying to get a little bit more rotation, a little bit more of the breastbone turning to face the side of the mat. Of course, I've lost track. My counting. I need a counter. Let's make this one the last one to the side. Hold it here. Release it down. Change sides. So you're coming up, rotating the other way. Release it down. Coming up, rotating the other way. Release it down. Feel that low back stay soft against the ball the whole time. Good. We'll do 3 more. Feels like that might be even. 2. Stay wide across the chest. Stay supporting the head and neck. Hold this one up. Release it down. And from here, you can let, if it's comfortable in your head and neck, you can let the arms go overhead and just lengthen in the abdominals you just worked. Feel an opening across the chest. If that's not comfortable, you could move a little bit. You could sort of lower the hips so that the head is more supported on the ball, but it's really up to you. From here, the arms are going to come overhead, and you're going to bring them up and curl up and walk back to nice sitting. We're going to bring yourself down to the mat and leave the ball where it is. We're going to get both feet onto the ball. Good. And you can either have the feet on the ball, if that's comfy, or the heels. It really just depends on how big your ball is and how comfortable you are. This is a hard exercise for me, but I love it. It's great for the spine. It's great for opening the hips. And it really gives you an idea of how centered you're able to stay as we do our little pelvic curls. So nice breath in. You've got a great foundation in the upper body. The head and neck are relaxed. And on your out breath, you're dropping that low back towards the mat. And then you're lifting with the tailbone, the pelvis, one bone to the back at a time to come up into our hip rolls. And try to open in those hips. Try to get the hips high and then peel it back down. And then raising up again. And peeling it back down. And this is so nice. It's a lot of hard work. I really feel it in the hamstrings and the glutes. But I really feel myself sort of little micro corrections as I peel up to try to keep even weight on each foot, to try to keep that ball still. And it just feels great if you've done a lot of sitting to get the hips moving. Oh, it's a nice one. You'll work a little bit in the upper body to keep your balance, and that's okay. Can we make it harder? Of course we can. Let's hold this one up. Press into the ball with the right leg and lift the left leg up to tabletop. Down and switch. Oh, that's hard. Try to keep the ball nice and centered. Try to keep the hips high. My hips drop a little bit. If you can keep them higher, that's great. And try to keep that ball nice and still. Good. Lovely. We'll do one more on each side. Try to keep the hips up. Beautiful. Both feet on the ball. Raise those hips if you let them drop, and then peel it down, one bone at the back at a time. Oh, that's nice. You can straighten out there a little bit if you want. Bring it back in. Let's just do a little rotation. So the arms, if you want, can go out into that nice T position. Keep the shoulders grounded to the mat as the legs drift. And the ball rolls to one side. And up through the center and to the other side. Perfect. Good. We're going to straighten out the legs so that the heels and maybe a bit of the shins are resting on the ball. Good. And this is not a curl up. This is a straight lift and a straight lower. So you have your nice foundation in your upper body. I want you to feel long in your spine, engaged in the legs, and you're pressing the heels into the ball and lifting the bum and down and up and down. And this is going right to your end range. So you're really squeezing the bum to lift that pelvis, not necessarily thrusting the low ribs up into the air, but really trying to get a lift. And it's like you're eliminating the crease that would be in the front of your pants if you were sitting. Really trying to open up the groin area. Those hip flexors. Let's do 4 more. Good, and you're gonna hold this one here, because we never end when I say we're gonna, and then you're gonna bend the knees. So you can either flex the feet or you can keep them pointed, and you're gonna pull the ball in, and then you're gonna press it out nice and long. And we're gonna do 8 of these. And I'm actually gonna count. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, think strong thoughts. For 2, relax your jaw, smile. 1, hold it here, and here you will peel down. Try to sink the breastbone, the low ribs, 1 bone to the back at a time, the low back, and then the bum. Wonderful. We're going to come up back onto our bellies on the ball now. And different ways of getting onto the ball, not ever so gracefully with this. I like to have the ball way beyond the back of my mat, and I roll out to be on my thighs for this one. If you are used to doing some push-ups, you can go a little beyond. I'm gonna have to move back a tiny bit because I want a little more of myself off. So I have my hands right under, my shoulders in this position. I'm in a nice long line. My legs are centered on the ball. And here I'm gonna bend my elbows. I'm gonna think of keeping wide across the chest and not letting the spine collapse down between the shoulders, but I'm gonna bend the elbows. I'm gonna let the feet rise, and I'm gonna come back. Good, and we're doing 8 of these too. So we've got 6 more. And if you want to let the elbows go wide, you can. I'm trying to let mine go back, sort of narrow towards my waist. You have to keep the head in line with the rest of the spine, so the gaze goes down back almost towards the ball as you lower. Have we done more than 8? Oh, never. Make that one the last one. Walk it back. Just do a little rest on the ball if you wish, because we're going to go forward again. This time we're going to leave our belly on the ball, so you could roll it. I'll start with mine a little bit more forward. And I'll come. And if you want, you could prop your feet up against a wall behind you. I'm just going to make mine a little bit wide so that I can stay nice and still on the ball as I do a little bit of movements with my arms. So I have my spine in line with the legs. I'm going to keep the low belly drawn in. So I'm not pressing my belly into the ball to get any extension. I'm keeping the low belly drawn in so that this really uses your back muscles. Good. And you almost should be able to touch with your fingertips the mat or even with your knuckles. Good. And let's just raise, actually let's start with both arms. So let's do both arms out to the side, drawing the shoulder blades back and in towards each other. At the same time, a tiny little lift of the chest. And then release. And up, and release. And you're thinking about getting long out of the crown of your head, drawing in the low belly so that this is really the back muscles that are doing this work. And then we're going to stay up here. Good? And we're going to bend the elbows, shoot the arms forward, and bring them back to your sides. Bend the elbows, shoot them forward, and bring them back to your sides. See how that feels. Does the ball want to move? This one's hard, I think. Really good for your posture, though. Working the upper back. Try to resist, or try to release, I guess, and not have tension in the neck. Last one. Lower the arms, and just let yourself rest over the ball. You can let the head turn to one side. You can do a little rock if you want, because we're going to come back out and we're going to do single arms, which surprisingly is harder, I think. So if you found yourself wobbling with doing both arms symmetrically, I would like you to put the feet against the wall because you might need that extra little bit of stability as we go into our single arms. So coming forward into that same position. The hands, if you can, their fingertips are starting on the mat. And we're going to bring left arm out to the side, release down. Right arm out to the side, release down, and then both. Good, and we'll repeat. Left, right, and both. Left. And you could have little weights here. Certainly if you're used to working out, that is a great way to build some upper back strength. Let's start with right this time, then left, then both. Right, left, and both. The legs are strong and straight. The tummy's drawn in, the spine is long. You're initiating this motion from the shoulder blade. This is your last one. Bring the hands behind the head. Curl down and lift up for 8. For 7. For 6. For 5. For 4. For 3. For 2. For 1. And rest. Isn't that nice? Good, good. All right. We're going to go into a little bit harder. If you've never done this on the ball before, go easy. But if you're a ball lover, then it's a really fun one. We're going to basically do a cat stretch with our hands on the floor and our feet on the ball. So again, you could walk out to have your feet on the ball. I'm going to try to stay in the video, so I'm going to initiate and get set up this way. But you have the hands under the shoulders. You get both feet and shins balanced on the ball. And this one I find hard. Take a nice breath in to prepare. Out breath, you're pulling in with the low belly. You're rounding the spine, bringing the knees in towards you, and you're trying to go for height. You're really trying to get the hips high, and you're staying strong in the arms, and release it back down. 2. And 3. 4. We're going to do 4 more. You can do it. 3. and 2, and 1. And release it down. And then the only way to gracefully get off the ball, if you can, is to bring your foot forward, I find. And then bring the other foot forward. And you can do a little bit of a roll up. Coming to nice standing. And just as a final little cool down, we're going to lean long over the ball. So you've got the knee, you can have the knees bent or you can have them a bit straight but not hyperextended. You're going to reach out long. So you feel like the chest is lowering between the shoulders. Sit bones are reaching back away from the ball. And then you'll almost round into a little bit of a cat stretch. Soften the knees. Round the spine. And then reach it out long again. And then soften the knees, round the spine. And then reach out nice and long. Soften the knees around the spine. Reach out nice and long. That's nice. And then you can roll it up one bone of the back at a time. And thanks very much for joining me. Hope you liked that workout. We'll see you next time.